Welcome back to the Pick Six Podcast Show here on CBS Sports HQ. Joining us now, three box. You'd love to see it. Will Brinson, Sean Wagner-McGough, carrying over from the previous segments, and Jamey Eisenberg, the star of fantasy football, one of the stars of fantasy football today, the podcast and the show. Jamey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We are fantastic. So we did a movie draft, a Pick Six Podcast Fantasy Football Day crossover, where we drafted fictional movie characters for our teams. We got a few minutes here. Let's discuss them. I believe we can throw those teams up on the screen. And Jamey, since you're the guest and you have to deal with Pete Prisco more than any of us on here, I will allow you to make the first argument for your team as to why it is the winner and why you took who you did.
Well, I mean, when you see the team, it's the winner. And you said we did a draft of fictional movie football players. So I guess Sean has to leave, right? Because all he did was pick TV guys. I mean, look, I love the way my team came together. My first overall selection was, I don't know, controversial, but you wouldn't necessarily take a special teams player first, but how do you stop Forrest Gump? I mean, Run Forrest Run was my first pick, and then just kind of building talent throughout the draft. You get a Hall of Famer in real life as a movie character in Deacon Moss. Great running back, great rapper in Julian Washington, LL Cool J, some stud defensive players as well. So I just love the way the team came together. The quarterbacks may be a little bit questionable with a replacement player in Shane Falco, and a guy who actually never played actual football in his own movie, and Jimmy Dix with The Last Boy Scout. But when he walks around saying best arm in the league, and then we all know about the throw that he made at the end. If you've seen the movie, which if you haven't, you should probably go do that right now. But I love this team. I think I absolutely destroyed all of you guys in this draft.
Sean,
look, your best pick was the Forrest Gump pick, because it's a special teams player, but when you start going through these lists, you realize there are just so many good quarterbacks, because obviously in movies and TV shows, you're always going to focus on the quarterback. I was going to take Forrest Gump with my first pick, and you stole him from me, and that forced me to pivot. I leaned really hard into Friday Night Lights, the TV show. And this is my first defense of this. For people listening who haven't listened to the podcast, I don't deserve a downgrade for taking high school players. We were drafting players based off how good they were relative to their competition in their respective shows and movies. And you look at these Friday Night Lights teams, in 5 seasons on the show, they went to 3 state championships. So they are at the top of the table in terms of who they were playing. And I love the continuity I had. All these guys played for my coach, Eric Taylor. It means I'm not going to have to change offensive schemes. It means there's going to be a level of familiarity and comfort among these players. And I really like the players that I added who weren't a part of Friday Night Lights. And for the record, I could have gone all Friday Night Lights because no one else took a single player from the show. But I did decide to mix it up. And if you look, using the same principle that I used relative to the competition they were facing, Bradley Cooper's character in Wedding Crashers was the only legitimately good football player on that field. He absolutely demolished Vince Vaughn. He beat Owen Wilson downfield. He can play both sides of the ball. So that's where I was going. I was going for value over their relative competition, and that's where I think I crushed it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you definitely get credit for taking 4 high school kids and bringing them together with old Shark LeVay, who certainly is going to be a great influence in the locker room there, in Sean's fictional football team. Tim Riggins, I'm sure, won't fall prey to any of the vices that Shark brings into the locker room at all.
But the best thing about that, Will, was that he was giving you a hard time about taking Willie Beamen and his locker room presence, and then he goes and throws LT.
It was a misdirection, Jamey.
Yeah,
I didn't want to give away my strategy.
Because my locker room has issues, and he just Shark to hang out with a bunch of high schoolers. I want to throw up my team as well. I came away with Steamin Willie Beamen, with the #1 overall pick. You know, Forrest Gump in hindsight might have been better because of the depth at quarterback. I was able to get Johnny Utah. Remember, he only has to play in his own universe. Doesn't have to play in the NFL. Doesn't have to play at Ohio State. Just on the beach with Brody and company, and he balls out there. Rod Tidwell and Charlie Tweeder, the first 2 wide receivers off the board, I think, and that gives me a great vertical threat. Adam Aizer, who doesn't believe Jerry Maguire is a football movie and doesn't think Die Hard is a Christmas movie and doesn't really have anything that he believes in that's even worthwhile like repeating because it's so insane. In general, his opinions are terrible. You see this team. Look at this trash team. I can't believe he's winning out there. I mean, but yeah, I get Tweeder and Tidwell as the wide receivers, and then felt like I stole something with my pick of fake Bill Belichick, who's not actually in Madden. That feels like the most dominant pick. What are your thoughts on Adam's team there, Jamey?
I thought he did a nice job, you know, with the combo Adam Sandler picks. Anytime you get Bobby Boucher, you know, I mean that's just absolute gold of a selection. But you know, Adam did a nice job. I was debating Jimmy Dix and Joe Kane. I thought Joe Kane's probably the safer pick. Jimmy Dix probably has more upside, but his 2 Little Giants selections, Icebox, you can't argue with. Spike might be a little bit of a reach, but for the most part, he did a great job. I mean, everybody did a solid job. You know, getting, like Sean said, the best players in their respective worlds. I thought your pick of the Belichick coach in Madden was genius. We talked about, you know, Terry Crews or the office linebacker should have been selected as well. And then I think we all missed on not taking Al Bundy. That was just a bad job by us by not taking, you know, Polk High's legendary 4-touchdown performance.
Yeah, and if you're taking Al Bundy, you just have to play him against I guess his kids. I don't know, Peg. Who knows? You're right. EK killed us for that. Jamey, thank you for joining us here on the Pick Six podcast program. Always good to talk to you, buddy. Make sure and check out the Fantasy Football Today podcast with Jamey, Adam, Dave, Heath. They do a fantastic work over there to get you prepared. Subscribe, rate, and review. We'll see you tomorrow for the Pick Six podcast show here on CBS Sports HQ.